Just so I can see it. Well, you all are very polite. You quieted right down when we all came up here. Thank you. Want to welcome everyone to the first tourism team up in a while. When was the last time we did one of these? About a year ago? All right, great. Well, welcome. Who's new? Is this their first tourism team up? Awesome. Well, great. It's great to have you here. I am John Heine. I'm with the Tourism Office. Really, it's actually the Tourism and Economic Initiatives Office with the City of Prescott, but today we're the Tourism Office. So I want to introduce the members of my team. Have Ann Stewart. We'll all be presenting, so Ann, you'll see Ann later. Christina, there you go. Yes, applause. Yes, absolutely. Christina Binkley. And then Heather's hiding around the corner over there with Front Burner Media. So this is the team, and we'll talk a little bit about the agenda for today, just so you know what we're going to be dealing with. We're going to talk about what is a DMO. We're going to talk about our bed tax, benefits and responsibilities of a tourism office, our strategic planning, which was recently conducted, our visit versus experience, and we'll explain that a little bit later, and then save the date for the next tourism team up. And then, of course, we will enter into question and answer. So first we'll start with what is a DMO. So there's a lot of alphabet soup in tourism as there is in most other places. So DMO technically is called a Destination Marketing Organization. Some of the trends in tourism in the last few years, you might sometimes see the word management in place of marketing, but we consider ourselves a Destination Marketing Organization. Responsible for promoting an area as an attractive travel destination, which we all know Prescott is that. Enhancing our public image, of course. Long-term travel and tourism strategy for the destination. We're going to talk about our strategy in a little bit. Creates marketing and public relations campaigns. Generating tax revenue. We're going to talk about the bed tax and how that benefits the community a little bit later. Improving the quality of life for local residents. Serving as a local expert on all there is to see and do for visitors. So we're always asked, hey, what can I do in Prescott? We're all supposed to be expert in that, so we have to stay up on, what's new and what's exciting in Prescott. We also actively solicit media and travel trade professionals. I believe we have a media or a social media professional in town right now that's going to be going around and hopefully saying some nice things about us. Meeting planners, working with meeting planners that want to bring their events up here. Leisure travel, families and individuals who want to travel up here. Meetings and conventions, sports events and tours. We do a lot of sporting events with all of our tournaments throughout the year. And then I think just some summary comments. All destinations compete for visitors and money. Of course, we are located in beautiful northern Arizona. We have neighbors all around us that also want the tourism dollars. So, the big one that we always talk about is Sedona, only hour and a half away from here, but there's other great destinations around. So we're always in a little bit of competition, but I think we're working more to work together and collaborate with the destinations around us. Simply our job for the City of Prescott is to help market, manage, and make the destination successful for many years to come. So some of the typical tasks, what do we do? What's our day like in the DMO? So facilitating communication connections, collaboration with various groups, including our visitors, our stakeholders, and you are our stakeholders, among others, our community partners as well. Maintaining and promoting a visitor website. We're going to talk a little bit about that and what we're doing for that. Maintaining an inventory of Prescott assets and attractions. So things are always changing. There's new businesses coming in all the time that we want people to know about. So keeping up with that, the coming and the going of that, is part of our job as well, and that's a pretty busy job. Stakeholder visits, welcoming new businesses, providing a meeting planner kit. We'll talk a little bit about that, I think. Coordinating FAMs, another alphabet soup. FAM is a familiarization. Was it familiarization tour? Yeah, FAM tour, familiarization tour. So we try to do a lot of that. We just had one a couple of months ago for the first time from the UK. Yeah, first international FAM since pre-COVID. Where they came and got to experience Prescott. And again, the hope is they go back to their various media organizations and write nice things about us. So that went very well. Coordinating travel, writer, media visits, like we just talked about. Ongoing sales effort, participating in travel, trade, and media shows. Those things, of course, really slowed down during COVID, are starting to pick back up, but we're still kind of in this in-between in terms of the shows, but there's more to come. Working with local event organizers to help promote their event. Obviously, we are entering into one of the most important couple of weeks in Prescott's year with rodeo. So those event organizers, all the beautiful art fairs, and all the events that make Prescott so special, especially this time of year. And we like to provide gift bags, lure brochures, and swag. We like to give stuff away. So they remember Prescott when they leave. That's you. I'm handing it over to Ann. Clicker to Christina. Mike to Ann.
I can't do, well, I could, but. So we thought we'd just go over the model of our DMO and how we're set up, because there's many different models for tourism offices. They can be a CVB or a DMO. CVB is a more common term, Convention and Visitors Bureau. In our case, we're a DMO and we're non-member based, meaning that we don't take dues, right? We represent the entire destination and actually a lot of the area as well, because we're actually the really only official tourism office in our region. Our funding comes from the bed tax, like John mentioned. The visitors still pay just a 3% tax. We work closely with the state office, so the Arizona Office of Tourism. You hear us a lot, and you'll see in a lot of our communications we refer to AOT. So it's important to know that acronym. And then the AZLTA, which is the Arizona Lodging and Tourism Association, they're the state lobbying arm. So we work really closely with them. And then the United States Travel Association is the federal lobbying arm of the industry. So just a couple important things for you to know. We mention those acronyms a lot in our communications. And then John already mentioned this, who's coming. We, after leisure travel, meetings and events. And then, of course, everybody knows our amazing assets we use to market our destination. And just a few of the benefits back to you and our responsibilities. We provide visitor data. We provide stakeholder support. We market the entire destination, but also can assist you with some marketing as well. Business retention visits and connectors. We're the connectors. So we want to connect our stakeholders with all the rest of the tourism and hospitality stakeholders. So if you're an attraction, do you know the hotels? Do you know the restaurants? Vice versa. Do you know who our outfitters are? Do you know we have birding tours? Do you know we have amazing kayak outfitters? Do you know we have bike tours? So making sure that you, as a tourism and hospitality stakeholder, are connected with your local industry here. And then we are a small and mighty team, the four of us, but we do not do this alone. We are assisted by TAC, which is a Tourism Advisory Committee. This is an official city committee, and you apply to be a part of this committee, and we have several of them here today, and I'd love, if you are a member of TAC, if you could please stand up so that the rest of everybody can see. So this is our board and our committee, and like I said, we do not do this alone. Our marketing plan, bed tax dollars, our funding, where is it going? What are we doing for our destination? They represent hotels, the museums, the restaurants. We have a citizen as part of the committee. So very important for us to hear from them what they think. They kind of wear their tourist hat when they're on our committee and they're out. And here's their names. I know you're familiar with some of them, but Margot Christensen, Matt Broussard, Linda Nichols, Steve Brissetti, Jim Johnson, Lisa Hayes, Deborah Rocha, Dennis Gallagher, Robert Coombs, Ed Kellerman, and our council liaison right now is Councilman Clark Tinney. So we always have a council member sit in our meetings, and they are there to hear about what's going on, and then also be a representative back to council and mayor for the tourism industry and for TAC. Our partners at a glance, these are a few of this isn't everybody, but a few of the people that we work with. The Prescott Downtown Partnership, the Chamber. The Chamber actually houses the official visitor center. So we help support that, but the actual visitor center, the designated one for our city is at the Chamber. It's a perfect location. It's downtown in a historical building. And then the Arizona Christmas City organizers, our museums, our centers, and I mentioned the state and the federal office as well. Is that your turn? And here's Christina.
So I have all of the number sides, so try and stay with me as we talk about math and money, but it'll be worth it, I promise. It talks about the value of tourism in our community. So this is how bed tax works, for those of you who don't know. The visitors are going to pay a 3% transient occupancy tax to hotels, to Airbnbs, to vacation rentals. It goes to the state. The state pays the city of Prescott back. By law, the city of Prescott has to use 75% of those funds for marketing dollars. However, funds can also be used for capital projects, recreation services, and destination management. The bed tax can also contribute to grants, special events, and community attractions. We also always set aside a contingency for additional destination support. And basically, the whole community benefits because of this. Our destination is attractive, more people come, and the cycle starts over again. More specifically, this is how tourism dollars have benefited our community recently. So $300,000 has gone to local nonprofits, the World's Oldest Rodeo, the Courthouse Lighting, our 4 museums, and our 2 centers, in addition to 29 local nonprofits. $350,000 has gone to city services. Our parking garage downtown, and most recently another $300,000 went to Lower Goldwater Wake, will be opening soon. This is one of my favorite lists. This is essentially our resume since 1990 of what tourism dollars have paid for. So we have downtown parking garage maintenance, the downtown kiosks, the courtesy cans, the new Whiskey Row archways are paid for by tourism dollars, pickleball court restrooms, trailhead restrooms, Granite Creek Park improvements, the skate park, and Kayla's Hands Playground, just to name a few. So obviously local tourism has an impact statewide. I found this fact from the Arizona Office of Tourism. The Arizona Office of Tourism reports that an annual tax savings of $986 for every Arizona household, and it has also supported over 160,000 industry-specific jobs. So tourism is very important for us and the whole state. This is another great slide. Who's familiar with our arts and craft shows, festivals? We know Prescott's a very big event town. Well, these are our 8 signature events, we call them. We have the Mountain Artists Guild, we have the Fippen Art Show, Territorial Days, Bluegrass Festival, the Rodeo Arts and Craft Show, Fair on the Square, and Fall Fest. So those 8 events add up to be a total of 20 days of events on the square. Their total economic impact is $67 million. Oh, and by the way, that was just 2019's numbers. Arizona's Christmas City, one of the great things about Prescott. This last Christmas season, 21 to 22, the impact of all the Christmas City events generated a total economic impact of $51 million. John and Ann were talking about our sports. Our sports also contribute quite a bit of money. So with sports alone, we hosted 31 sports tournaments, which is about 566 teams came into Prescott, and that was $2.64 million in direct spending. And back to you.
All right, so one of the most important reasons we're here today is to review with you our strategic plan. And the reason that we wanted to touch on what is a DMO before we went into this is just to, provide that education again. Who are we, what do we do, and what's our role in the city of Prescott? So a bit of background on our strategic plan. We did our last official one in 2018. We were going to do one in 2020. Obviously, that did not happen. And so we planned for 2022. We went out for an RFP, 21-ish, I think, like late 21-ish, and ended up selecting a Portland-based firm, Coraggio Group. They're a business management consulting firm, but they focus on destination management and marketing. So they were actually the firm that did our recovery strategic planning in the height of the pandemic. And so we were really happy that they applied for the RFP and we were able to work with them. The tourism office, along with TAC, we did 4 half days of strategic planning. It's pretty intense. We did it like on a Thursday, Friday. We broke on the weekend, went back Monday, Tuesday. So through that, basically, before the strategic planning part, there was some pre-works. There were surveys and individual interviews. And it gave us a really good insight into where we're going as a destination. Things are different, right? We know that they're not going to be the same moving forward. And actually, a lot of our destination focuses had been changing even prior to COVID. So it gave us some really good insight. The 4 key findings that basically came out of strategic planning that really are important for our office and our destination was, 1, the focus to better position ourselves as an office, that we are the main tourism office, and also more collaboration and continued and stronger relationships with our hospitality stakeholders. There's a lot of new stakeholders in town, a lot of new owners, a lot of new managers. And so, we need to get in front of them. We need to know who they are so that we can all work together. Secondly, one of the things identified by the participants who took the survey and the interview was they feel that there is a better opportunity to position ourselves more as a, recreation destination. Thirdly, definitely a strong call for more destination management. So how do we continue to put resources and efforts in growing the tourism industry, into growing the economy with that, but also being mindful of the destination and also our residents, ensuring the quality of life for our residents. And then lastly, to continue to advocate and get support for continued infrastructure dollars into our tourism economy. So those were the 4 key findings that came out of strategic planning that are important for you as stakeholders to know, because those will be the 4 areas we're going to be, working on and looking to. So this was a word bubble that the participants basically, they gave words. How do they want to see us? What do they want us to be? And so these were the words that came out of the word bubble where they'd like to see us with their reputation. Some of the comments that we found from the participants were, people are, what's the tourism office, what's our role? There's, again, more opportunity for collaboration and relationships. What's the difference between the chamber and the tourism office? So all these areas we're identifying, that just goes back to education and continually letting our partners know who we are and what our role is. These were challenges that were identified. Some of these may not be a surprise to you. Some of them may. We have insufficient public infrastructure for tourism, insufficient frontline workforce. Workforce housing is an issue. That's across the country. We all know that. Resident community resistance to tourism and resident sentiment over tourism. And then you can see the rest of them here. Over tourism, limited transportation options, limited nightlife and entertainment. And then lastly, what are the areas of emphasis that they feel is important for us to focus on? And that is enhance and enrich the visitor experience, continue to respect our history and our culture and our value, ensure that our natural resources are protected, ensure that we educate people that are coming here to protect our natural resources and be mindful when they are outside. And that's been a huge initiative pre-COVID, during COVID, and it continues to be for our office. And then, a couple other things, basically, influence the right kind of visitors and where they're going, right? How are we inviting them? When are we inviting them? And what are we inviting them to? And the timing of the year that we're going to continue to invite them. And I'm all right.
Thanks. Okay, so yes, 4 days, but they were 4 half days, but it was really quite a commitment. So shout out to our TAC members, the ones that are here and those that couldn't be here today, just for the time commitment that we all went through. And I've been through myself a half a dozen different types of strategic plannings. This one was different. It was a little bit out of the box. It really got our brains working, I think, in a good way. So, you always want to come out of a good strategic planning session with a vision and mission, and then some guiding principles. So I will read to you. For those of you in the back that cannot read, I know it's very small letters. Our vision: Prescott is a welcoming and unforgettable year-round destination, attracting visitors seeking to experience authentic Western heritage and unparalleled natural beauty. We really like that. I think it captures a lot of really key words. Very happy with how that came out. Our mission: we attract visitors to Prescott and enhance our community's quality of life by inspiring a love and respect for our natural beauty, rich history, and hometown atmosphere. So again, capturing some of the same words in those two, but it's very clear, and those of you that have been here for any time, we're very proud of who we are, where we came from as a community. Our history is so important, but also our amazing natural beauty. There's a lady here from Iowa, right, in back. So, yes, we were just talking about how I'm from Michigan, so it's like, I love those mountains, you know. They're like friends. I mean, it's just seeing them around everywhere. So we know what an amazing place we have, and we want to share that, and that's part of the job of this destination marketing organization. So that's our vision and mission, and we will provide this, these slides to all of you. In fact, we've got a one-sheeter, right, that we're going to hand out that came from this, so you get to read it for yourself. Some guiding principles. So these are some things that are going to help us create our work, the things that we have to do to make all of these vision and mission statement happen. So these are guiding principles that came out of the strategic planning. Number 1, engage residents and industry stakeholders. Now more than ever in tourism around the world, it's so important that we are, you know, we know that we need to talk to all of you. We also need to talk to and hear from our residents because it has to be a collaborative effort. So we wanted to get that up there. Very high up, that we're talking to our residents and industry stakeholders. Number 2, enhance, enrich, and simplify the visitor experience. We want to make it easy for people to discover Prescott. All of us get online, we try to figure out where we're going. Let's face it, when people think about Arizona, they think about the Grand Canyon, right? And they think about all the cool cactus down in Phoenix. We are not that. How do people find us? How do they understand what we are and what makes us so special? So that's up to us to enhance and enrich and simplify the visitor experience before they get here, but also while they're here as well. 3, emphasize the quality of visitors over the quantity of tourists. So this is a tricky one because, you know, we basically are saying here, you know, there are visitors that we want to have come here that will enjoy and experience and appreciate Prescott the way we want it to be appreciated, right? How do we find those people? How do they find us? How do we make it easy for that to happen? One thing that you may notice, those of you that have been here, you don't see a lot of tour buses coming to town. Some may say, why is that? Well, is that the visitor experience that we want? Or do we want people to come and really explore and spend an evening on Whiskey Row and spend a night in one of our hotels? That's who we're going after. So that's where we start talking about who we market to, what types of groups that we're inviting to come here. And then also there's all the people that just discovered on their own, like I did with my wife many years ago. 4, consider the impact of our work on existing infrastructure and community resources. Anybody that's following, you know, city council and some of the things that are happening, there's a lot of concern about growth. There's a lot of concern about, you know, where we're moving to the North Prescott area. I think the infrastructure here is phenomenal, but I also know that we better be thinking about the next 5 years and the next 10 years out. How does tourism impact that? How is it already impacting that? So those are things that we need to be mindful of. Support and be responsible for the use of our natural resources and assets. So important. We've actually got a couple slides that we're going to talk about. The state helped us with this in an Appreciate Arizona campaign, which we'll talk about. But again, you know, we had, I think, during 2020, I think we had a record number of uses of our trails. 1 million visitors. 1 million visitors to our trails. How outstanding is that? Were you guys responsible for part of that as visitors, by chance? Yeah, there you go. Okay, excellent. Right. Gotcha. Yeah. So our trails, our recreation services, they do a great job keeping track. But that was because, of course, we all wanted to and needed to get outside. But with that, you know, we started to see signs of overuse. You know, we started to see trash. We started to see some things that we hadn't seen before. So we all think about that, and we have to think about that for our future. So that's important that we think about our natural resources and assets. 6, to enhance the quality of life and increase economic opportunity. So this is quality of life for the folks that are here. It's for you. It's to give you as business owners opportunities to be successful, to bring tourists, to have dollars spent here. So, but it's also quality of life for residents. It's the dollars that we're using, the bed tax that Christina talked about, to enhance our trails, to do the Lower Goldwater Lake expansion. Those are all things that not just benefit visitors, but hopefully benefit you as citizens as well, and that's very important to us. And 7, finally, preserve our community's exceptional hospitality and create an environment that is welcoming to all. So again, many of you are in the hospitality business. That's very important. So we want to support you in your efforts in welcoming people here and making the experience, the first time visit to Prescott, as special as it was for all of us when we first came here. So those are our principles. Those are the things that are going to guide us in the work that we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the things that we're going to do going forward.
And these guiding principles just guide us in everything we do. It's kind of a direct play on words there, but this is translated into many initiatives and over 200 tasks for the tourism department to do over the next 3 years to make sure these things happen. So for the past 20 years, we have Visit Prescott. That has been the name of the tourism office. And with all of the strategic planning, with all of the response of our stakeholders, we decided that maybe that's not a fit anymore. Visit literally means come, and we need to change that. We want the right kind of people to come. We want them to experience Prescott. So as of today, going forward, the tourism office will be known as Experience Prescott, which is very exciting for us. And to just bring that home, we don't want any and every tourist. We don't want to be Disneyland of the Southwest. We don't want to be Vegas. We want visitors who are here to cherish, experience, play, and honor everything that makes Prescott great. The emphasis is quality over quantity. We want to increase a higher average spend per visitor. We would like people to stay longer and experience everything Prescott has to offer. And the goal overall is to move towards sustainable tourism and experience-driven marketing. We showed you this slide before, but after I put this PowerPoint together and I was trying to tell you why Experience Prescott is so important, I wanted to highlight all these words for you. So enhance and enrich the visitor's experience. There's literally the word experience here. Respect, honor and preserve. Resources are used responsibly and cared for. Contribute to the quality of life. Contribute to Prescott's economy, and effective dispersal of visitors. Well, that's our job as the tourism office, is just to make sure that the experience is great for every visitor, but we bring in these words to what we're doing. So we felt the name change was appropriate, and we're excited to tie our strategic planning and everything we have planned for the future together with that. On that note, this is Arizona's Office of Tourism campaign right now. It's called Appreciate AZ. They have 7 principles that talk about how to enjoy the outdoors, how to be smart, how to leave no trace. It's basically Arizona's version of Colorado's Leave No Trace program. But our new name, our direction as a tourism office allows us to do campaigns like this in a nice, harmonious way. And here's to talk about what's next for the tourism office.
Sure, yeah, I'll do it. So I don't know, how many of you have been on the Visit Prescott website lately? Any of you? What do you think? Think it needs to be, I see a lot of heads nodding before I even say it. It needs a refresh. So we're working on that. It's actually happening right now. We are using a firm called SimpleView, and they've actually sent their team here to Prescott. They've experienced Prescott. They've hiked. They've stayed here. They've dined at restaurants. They've been out on activities, and they are coming up with an incredible plan for us to redo the website, and it will now resemble what the true Experience Prescott will be. And it's going to have some amazing features on it too that will benefit all of you as well. It's going to be a really easy feature to be able to change your content if you're a business, to be able to update that, to be able to add images, to be able to make changes when you need to and not have to be individual to do that. Also be able to have our signups for our e-newsletters and send those out. So we have a pretty substantial consumer newsletter database that we have been generating for years and years. We've got a loyal following. They want to know about Prescott. We'll be able to send those newsletters through that database as well, through that website, and those newsletters will live live on that site as well. And then events. It'll be a great place for events. Finally, it'll be a place where You can have a reliable place to look for events that will be up to date and current. What's to come, and this all follows in our strategic plan. For 22-23, we're creating a lure brochure. We call it a lure brochure because that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to lure people in to want to find out more about Prescott and plan their visit. So if you see the brochure that we're currently using, it's full of advertising, and it also has other destinations in it. I just opened it up today, and if you turn to, sorry, my bracelet was just caught on my, I'm not just holding it like this, it just got stuck. I just got it free. Freedom. But if you turn to just a couple pages in, one of the neighboring communities, Cottonwood, is right on the front. So we don't want to necessarily drive people away from Prescott when they're staying here. We want to encourage them to stay here longer and experience this destination more and spend that money here and those funds here. So that lure brochure will take on a different meaning and a different life of its own. It's going to be completely content and image driven. It's not going to be an advertising piece. It's going to be a true lure brochure that represents the destination. We'll also be creating a new video. It's been a while since we've had some video created for the destination. It's pre-COVID. It was, yeah. And a lot of the businesses that were featured in that video have either changed or they've remodeled. Things look totally different. So we're going to update that and change that video, and it'll be a true representation of Experience Prescott. We're also really excited to have some new Christmas City photos done, because what we're working with now, I believe, are about 8 years old. So it's time to update those also. Coming in 23 through 25, we're going to be improving our wayfinding. And then I do think that the midweek visitation, we're going to push that even sooner. I think that probably a lot of you would say that your weekends are busy at certain times of the year, maybe too busy, and maybe you can't accommodate everyone. But wouldn't it be lovely if you had Monday through Thursday taken care of? So that midweek focus is really not going to be something brand new that we'll introduce in 2023. We're working on it now, and we'll continue to make that a higher focus. It's a really great way to bring meetings and conventions in that time, getting that midweek visitation. And then, like I just said, the increasing meetings and conferences. The international market is coming back. I was just on a call yesterday with a UK group that is getting ready to launch a whole focus on Arizona. We were invited to participate, and we recorded a 10-minute video that's all about Prescott yesterday. It was super awkward on Zoom to try to do your PowerPoint and sell, and you're this big on the box, but it's really about the visual point and really try to convince that UK audience who has been tied up for a long time and they're dying to get out and they want to come to the United States, why they should pick Arizona and why they should pick Prescott as one of their destination pieces. So I'm excited to see that international market is coming back, and I believe we're going to have a lot of the European, Canadian, but then also Australian. The interest has been really, really strong over the last 2 months. They're going stir crazy. They're ready to travel. So we're ready to welcome them here. They love Prescott. They love all things Western heritage and the uniqueness that is Prescott, that is different than what they think of when they think of Arizona. And how can you get involved? How can you support us? So if you're on social media, we've already taken the time and changed our names. So we've got Experience Prescott for our accounts. We love to use the hashtags PrescottAZ, Experience Prescott, and then of course Appreciate AZ. And then send us your content. All of our contact information is on that back table. It was at the front. I think we're gonna have a slide at the end, right? That will have our information. And then make sure that you sign up for what we're sharing, for our newsletters. Ask us. If you have questions, reach out to us, contact us. And if you've got news to share, if you've got accolades, if you've got a new business opening, if you've got something to share that we know visitors will appreciate, we would love to have it. If you've got images, video, reels, stories, anything that you can send to us that we can share on social as well, please, we will never tell you that we've had too much content. We would love to have your content. We're begging for it right now. So please give us some. think. Questions?
And with that, we'll take any questions. I do want you to know that this presentation will be available as a PDF at the end. We are recording, so if you could stand up and enunciate your question, that would help for the people in the back and for the video recording, okay?
My question is the data that you have on visitors, how do you get that?
That's a great question. So we purchased a software called Placer AI. It's a combination algorithm. And the way it works is it's cell phone tracking, credit cards, heat maps, pattern recognition, plugs it all into one fancy formula, and geofencing. I forgot to mention that too. And then we look at the geofence for the area and we pick the dates we want, and that's how we get that visitor data. So for the events, we ran the events dates. For Christmas City, we ran the month of Christmas, or the 6 weeks, I should say. And then our economist plugs it into her formula to get the economic impact.
And we actually also get information from the chamber, and then also the individual events and businesses that do surveys in town, we use that data as well.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, can you share any specific strategies that you're doing for midweek stays and getting conferences and other things like that? Can you share kind of the specifics?
So right now, in terms of midweek, we have a commercial that's running with ABC 15, and it's running in the Phoenix market, Tucson, Denver, and Las Vegas, and we pitch that in the middle of the commercial. It's about a 2.5-minute commercial, and we talk about it's not just weekends that you can come to Prescott, but it's also midweek. It's a great time to come and explore. In terms of the meetings, we're doing a limited amount right now because we don't have someone who's selling Prescott in the meetings and incentive travel, the travel trade side. So I'm filling in as much as we can on that to fill in that blank, but I believe that's a goal for this coming fiscal year, is to hire somebody for that position specifically.
This might be on the next slide, our fiscal year is July 1 to June 30. So we are in the process right now of making our marketing plan for this next year, and we actually release that to you guys in the fall. So you see and you'll actually see some of those actual strategies, campaigns, the outlets, the platforms we're doing. So we always do release our marketing plan to you guys in the fall after we've done it, since our fiscal year starts July 1.
Just adding on finally, midweek and getting that business was really a big part of the strategic planning, and it came forward. So we weren't able to get it into the city's budget for this year, but we've talked to the city manager, and they're going to allow us to, we're going to go out for an RFP to see if there's a consulting firm that can help us with it this year. If that does not pan out, then we could hire a temporary position. But bottom line is we're going to get a sales position in this office for midweek, for business, for associations. There's so many wonderful associations, groups, nonprofits that can come up here. Obviously, we don't have huge venues for conventions, but we can do retreats, we can do conferences and things like that. So we will be going for that. That's important to us. Go ahead.
I know that you touched on this before, but could you explain the difference between the chamber and your office, please?
Sure, absolutely. So, yeah, the question was the difference between the chamber and the DMO, or the tourism office. So everyone you're looking at here, the three of us, Heather contracts with us, but we are all City of Prescott employees. The bed tax that we talked about, the 3%, is collected through the state first, comes back to the city. Ultimately, we report to the city manager and city council. That's why all of our budget approvals come through city council. So we are a governmental organization. The chamber is a nonprofit organization. The chamber is a membership-based organization. So they raise money in different ways. They do art fairs. They're doing the Bluegrass Festival this weekend. Put a plug in for that. That's done by the chamber. But they take care of their members, for business, importantly. As a DMO, as part of the city here, we are not going to say, well, Dennis, you're a member, so we're going to help you out, but we're not going to be able to help someone else out. We want to talk about the whole destination. So it gives us a little bit of an advantage in that regard. Is that helpful? Yes. Of course. Anyone else? Margot.
Hi.
Could you share with the audience what your total budget is and maybe even how it compared to 10 years ago?
Sure. So bed tax collections definitely have changed. What we saw during COVID here in Prescott and in some northern Arizona and rural destinations was different. Of course, the tourism industry as a whole during COVID took a pretty big hit. But places like Prescott, other rural destinations in Arizona fared very well. Why is that? Everybody wanted to get out of the big cities, get away from all the people, get outside. So that combined with our awesome marketing efforts and the support of the tourism committee, we've increased the bed tax collections substantially, especially in the past 5 years. I'm just going right off the top of my head, but I think our fiscal year, July 1, right, to June 30th, we're just about to enter fiscal year 23, or 2023, right? Yep. I always have trouble with that. It's like, okay, we're still in 22. But if we go back to fiscal year 2017, let's say 5 years, 6 years, I think bed tax collections were under 700,000. Because of our awesome efforts, but also I really have to say partly because of all the visitation through COVID, I believe that our bed tax collections for this year ending June 30th will probably be about $1.4 million. So we all think about 2019 as the last normal year. Okay, that's when the entire state, Prescott, we were peaking in tourism. Things were going great. And that year was the first year that Prescott collected $1 million. So we're about to go to 1.4. So it's been a big change. Again, I'd love to stand here and take credit for it. I think there's a lot of other factors, but that gives us more dollars, more resources to not just do marketing, but things like some of the infrastructure improvements and some of the things that make it better for everybody. So does that answer the question for you, Margot? Yes, sir.
In addition to the chamber, there is, of course, also the Prescott Downtown.
Yes, sir. We have some members here.
And they do a lot of work on the square also.
Yes.
So I just wondered what kind of an interface you have with them.
Sure, absolutely. No, they're an important partner, and they manage really all the events that take place on the courthouse plaza. That is their responsibility. So we have numerous nonprofit organizations that put on art fairs and music festivals and all that, but it's managed by our friends at the Downtown Partnership. And we have a great deal of interface with them on a regular basis. And sits on their board as the liaison. Councilman Tenney is our council liaison, but they're awesome partners. They help make a lot of the events great and help us, so we really appreciate that partnership as well. Yes?
We have a really good relationship with both the Prescott Downtown Partnership and the Chamber. Not only do we have regular meetings with them, but we contribute a lot of financial support. We're considering us as one team moving forward, but we all have little different functions that have very specific roles in the area.
Yeah, I think I'll take some credit, actually. Series, which is awesome, and going on right now. They're doing a great job. That just got started a couple weeks ago. The bed tax dollars sponsored that event. We are basically, that is one of the grants that we provide throughout the year. So that's locals, but also visitors enjoy it. So we do sponsor that through a grant from bed tax. Yes.
It's my understanding that the rodeo grounds are owned by the city, but I will often drive by Gail Gardner and Fair Drive, and I will see horse trailers all over the place. And I will go to look on the rodeo grounds and on city websites, and I will not find what's there.
Yeah, awesome question. My wife, we drive by there. She loves to drive home that way. And whenever she sees horse trailers, it's like, what's going on over there? So that's something that I think that we need to do our job of collaborating. The rodeo grounds are absolutely, you're correct. They're owned by the city. Our major tenant is Prescott Frontier Days, and they are tasked with keeping that busy as much as possible throughout the year. And a lot of times, if you're in the rodeo world, I'm a city boy, so I'm still learning all this stuff. But you know, there's roping competitions. There's there's a lot of smaller things that are kind of esoteric to the rodeo, to the Western community, that I don't think they're necessarily seeking spectators. It may just be a competition so they can move on to the next next competition. But I personally would like to know what all those are. So I agree with you. We'll learn more about that. Thank you. Yes.
I have a two-part question. Do you know when they're going to start utilizing the Whiskey Row Alley for events? And if so, whose umbrella is that going to be under?
Very, very good question. So for those of you that are not on Whiskey Row or on the alley, I know some of you are, just to give you a little history, let's rewind a little bit to 2018, shall we say, right? About that? 19? So one of the initiatives that came forward to revitalize our downtown was to spruce up and fix up Whiskey Row Alley, light it up, put a new mural up, put those beautiful archways on either end to make it an attraction. And what we learned very quickly is that it is first and foremost a functioning alley. It has a utilitarian purpose. We have to get trash from all of our businesses in and out of there. We have to have deliveries. We have to do all of these. Yeah, there's private property. There's easements. There's people that own parking spaces on the alley. So we wanted to make it pretty. We've worked on that. I think we still need to do a better job cleaning it up, frankly. But what the nut that we haven't cracked at the city is how to have events there without completely disrupting what's going on. So until we feel like we have a reasonable answer to that question, we're going to say, let's leave it as a great public space for people to visit and enjoy, but we're not going to shut it down for events until we have the answer to that. I think it's coming. I think it will come, but we want to make sure that all the stakeholders there understand. I mean, there's events that happen there already, the Highlands and things like that, so we want to make sure we do it right when we do it. What we are doing, though, I guess I'll jump into this, and I don't want to, it may be more of a location joke, but, we are working on restriping it because as part of our improvements, we sort of confused everybody on where they're supposed to park, where the deliveries go, and all that. So the city is going to go back and hopefully fix that. Probably will happen now after rodeo, but it's going to happen. So stay tuned, more information to come. I hope did that answer your question? Great. Any other questions? Dennis.
Yes, I was wondering, you mentioned earlier some of the tax bed money goes to maintenance of the garage.
Yes.
Can we include power washing, the steps there?
Sure.
And also the lights in the alley, they've been blown out for over a year. And I was wondering if some of that tax money can go to repairing those.
Yeah, so the bed tax money for the maintenance of the garage, I think is for physical improvements and maybe some light cleaning. If we were to extend that scope of work to say, hey, we're going to power wash the steps and things like that, that probably would have to be a tax/council direction. Not to say it can't happen, but maybe could be brought forward. The lights and most of the improvements that you saw, that you see in the alley, the lights specifically were purchased by our streets fund, by Public Works. Bed tax did pay for a portion of the beautiful archways, so it's sort of a mix and match of budgets. But I know we keep putting the order in for more lights and new lights to come in, so we'll keep working on that. But any other change, more cleaning, more of that from bed tax would have to be a TAC and council direction.
But, and I'll get your next. I think that's a perfect example of some destination management initiatives that might come forward as we move forward and through the years. Go ahead, Dennis.
I've asked the rodeo several years now about putting digital signage out, promoting all of the events that do on there. Like we just sponsored, we're sponsored for the Arizona High School rodeo.
Yes.
And it would be great if people would support that. So they haven't done it so far, so I'm wondering if we should go to the city to ask about that.
Sure. That's definitely something. It's just a collaboration and making sure that we're working closely. So the city is the landlord. Joe Baines and Recreation Services are kind of the superintendent, if you will. They're the ones that manage and make sure everything's clean and done right. On the communication side, I think it's just going to take a little push probably, and we can certainly assist with that. But yeah, it's a great asset. we want people to know about it. The tourism office did sponsor part of the high school rodeo. This is the second year that we had the state finals high school rodeo here in Prescott. We won it from Payson, I believe. Yeah, and we want to keep it. You know, it brings many families here. There's a lot of good economic impact, and but you're right. We need to and want to promote that more. It's a great asset. Any other questions? Anything we didn't cover? Anything you were hoping to learn that you didn't hear from us about? What's that?
And also, if you have a question and we're comfortable,
you can ask us afterwards. Absolutely, we'll stick around. But we really appreciate you taking your afternoon to come, and we hope to see you again at the next tourism team up in October. Right? It's right up there on the screen. Debbie Johnson, the State Director of Tourism, will come and share her insights with us. So we'd love to have you at the next team up. I don't know if we have a location yet, but we'll get to you on that, where it is. So
and that's when we do our marketing.
that's when we do our marketing plan. Thank you, everybody, for coming.